Hello, everyone. This is Jonathan Wyable here with Politics with Jonathan, and I hope you all are having a wonderful day. Now, to begin, I want to talk about why I have been gone so long. And I do apologize for my leave of absence, but I've been very busy with college and with getting accustomed to all of that. But I'm finally able to begin this series again, and I hope you all will continue to take this wonderful journey we are about to embark on. So, first, before we start with the main meat and potatoes of the video, I want to cover something that is very near and dear to my heart voting. Specifically, voting in local elections, which hardly anyone does compared to the national elections, and they're just as important. Now, I want to cover two reasons why lots of people I have heard and met with over the past couple of months say they don't really want to vote in local elections. There are two reasons. One, they feel like their vote doesn't count. Well, some of the closest elections have been decided by just a little over 100 votes or 2 votes. The 2004 Washington governor's race was decided by 131 votes, and the New Hampshire Senate race in 1974 was decided by 2 votes. And now, to cover the incentive to vote. I've always thought that there is enough incentive since we've had men who have died on the battlefield to give us proper representation. I've always felt that is a very important thing to a healthy society, and apparently they believed so too. And so many men died on the battlefield, so we would be free from the British, and so we would have our freedoms and be able to vote, and we would have representation with taxation, which we did not have under the British regime. Now, we need to go on to these races because these races are very important, the 2025 Virginia races. Now, just a month and a half ago, a major scandal broke that has completely flipped the dynamic of the races on their head. So, in 2022, Jay Jones, who was the Democrat nominee for Attorney General, he was in a text thread with a Republican House delegate colleague, and he was texting about how he wishes Todd Gilbert would die, and how if he had 2 bullets and 3 people, Gilbert, Pol Pot, and Hitler, he would have Gilbert get 2 bullets, both of the bullets. And he also went on to say that he wished Gilbert's kids would die in his wife's arms because that's the only way people move on policy, which is through tragedy. And he also went on to say later that he wishes more police officers would die so less criminals would die. And personally, whether it be Democrat or Republican, we should all see these comments as absolutely insane and we should be telling him to drop out. Those are not acceptable comments for any politician or for any person running for public office, whether it be Democrat or Republican. This is not a partisan issue, it is a nonpartisan issue. And I'm very tired of people acting like it is a partisan issue. It is not. Okay, so now we need to move into the Virginia gubernatorial election. So, as we saw with 2021, there's quite an upset with Glenn Youngkin defeating former Democrat governor of Virginia from 2014 to 2018, Terry McAuliffe, 50% to 48%. And now, Youngkin's lieutenant governor, Winsome Earl Sears, is running for re election. And something important to know is that for decades, Virginia always flips compared to the party in power. For instance, if a Democrat is in power, a Republican governor is elected. If a Republican is in power, a Democratic governor is elected. The only exception was 2013 with a major third party candidate that got about 7% of the vote. And this race looks like it's going to be the same thing. Winsome Earl Sears is the current lieutenant governor of Virginia, running to become governor against U.S. Representative, or former U.S. Representative, Abigail Spanberger. And as we've seen here through the polling, hold on, let's pull up the polling. Winsome Earl Sears has not been doing too good in the polling. Spanberger's led by 9, 9, 8, 9, 10, 9. And this race is looking like a pretty done deal. but I have a bit of hot take on that, and I will give it to you in just a minute. But first, we must pull up the 2025 Virginia Lieutenant Governor election. It takes a minute to load. My computer is incredibly slow, I'll have you all know. Still loading. Hold on, folks. Okay, this race is between Republican nominee John Reed and Democrat nominee Ghazala Hasmi. And what we should know is Ghazala Hasmi had a very, very close primary against Levar Stoney, who was the former mayor of Richmond, Virginia, and Aaron Roos, who is a member of the 22nd District of the Virginia Senate. And as we have seen, this race is quite a bit closer than the governor's race. As we see through here, Hasmi is winning by about 4.4 percentage points in the polls, which is a lot closer than 9 to 10. Okay, now we need to go to the race, which I really think is a done deal, folks. Hold on. Takes a minute to load. Here we go. It's loading. I tell you, folks, this takes forever. Okay, of course, this is between Jason Mraz, the incumbent Attorney General of Virginia, and Jay Jones, the Democrat nominee for Attorney General in Virginia. And as we see, before the polls came out, ignoring this one because this one is a very weird outlier, it was Landy. It was going BC in his flip. Marias was getting all of the funding poured into him, and he was probably going to have the closest margin, but he was still going to lose by a pretty decent amount. And as we see through the polling, yeah, Jones is leading. Text message breaks. Look at that. Jones isn't leading much anymore, is he? And now it's Marias +1, and now +2.5. He's even going up still. And this is bad news if you're the Jones campaign. Now, where do I think these races will go? Well, personally, for me, I have a few hot takes, but from what I have seen, I think there's going to be a bit more of a Republican wave than we're expecting in this election. I think, as I see it right now, Sears will either. Sears will probably. Abigail Spanberger will probably beat Sears by 5 points or under. I think that's where it goes. And my thought process there is if Spanberger ends up winning the race by 5 or more, then Reed isn't winning. Reed loses. If Spanberger wins the race but it's 5 or under, then Reed has a real possibility of winning. That's my prediction. So basically 5 or under, Reed wins. 5 over, Reed loses. And when it comes to Marias, I honestly think Spanberger would have to go like 10 and over for Marias to lose. I think there is almost no losing for Marias, and this would be very funny if 2 days from now I am wrong, and I apologize. I want you all to know that I keep my opinions and my predictions unbiased, and I've always done my best to do that, and I have always strived to do that. And so that is pretty much it for today. I thank you all for whoever stuck to the end, and I will be covering the New Jersey gubernatorial race either tonight or tomorrow. It depends. But that'll be up before election day, and that is a very hotly contested race. That really is a coin toss, but I have my opinion of who will win that incredibly narrow coin toss. Thank you all for listening until the end, and I hope you all have a wonderful day. Goodbye.